What is up, guys? This is another Okiru podcast. Today we are going through the next blog post, Fear Not Trying. This was written on August 29th in 2020. I guess this was to encourage others to not fear what to do when you might have second thoughts on doing something that you really want to achieve, or doing something you really thought you were passionate about. And yeah, I just really want to encourage others to take a deep dive in whatever it is that you're doing or wanting to do. That's like with how we started this brand, Gerald and I. It started all as an idea, and the only reason why it's where it is right now is because we actually took action towards it. We're still in our infant phases, it's only been almost 2 years, but we've grown a lot in ourselves, in our relationship, in a lot of things. So I think taking a deep dive into whatever it is you want to do, and not being afraid to try, because that's like the biggest thing. Our thoughts of like not trying might happen because of, I don't know, certain fears of failing in whatever it is that we want to do. But that's what I guess we'll go through with this blog that I wrote back in August. It'll be a good reminder to myself too, so we can be reminded together. But before that starts, I just wanted to start with a quote. Like last podcast, I'm reading this book by this amazing author. He's the coach of Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, and I'm reading his new book, Winning, which is amazing. Like, I'm just getting so emotional reading it because I can feel that want and desire to win. But here's a quote from Tim S. Grover: "Anyone can start something, very few people can finish." And that is very true. So having that impeccable word and integrity, it's tough, but it's just knowing for yourself. If you want to start something, make sure you finish it. So, the thought of failing is often the judgment of expecting a potential outcome to a situation that may or may not happen, which often leads to not even trying. As natural-born dreamers, we love to have a vision of what our success will look like. It is the ideal reality we dream of. However, we hold ourselves back because of one of our most significant weaknesses: our mental self-talk. When the stakes are high and the probability of failure is higher than the chances of success, we often talk ourselves out of it. I am guilty of this, and I know most of you are too. But why is that? Depending on our self-talk and mental capacity to overcome those thoughts, we often never even try, because failing will make us feel inferior, embarrassed, sad, physically and psychological pain, and sometimes the insurmountable vulnerability to external criticism. These are all normal emotions and reactions in the event of failure. However, it is a matter of whether we allow those emotions and things to overcome and control us. Failure shouldn't be something to be afraid of. It is something we need to embrace. Fear not trying. Failure shouldn't be considered a negative. Instead, see it as a process of learning and growing. When your dreams are big enough, nothing should get in the way of it. Look at children. For example, they are big dreamers. They always have much bigger goals than they are. Ignorance is their advantage. Children aren't born with fear. Their environment and people around them influence children to develop anxiety. The ignorance of a child removes the limitations of achieving that goal or dream and just thinks, "I'm going to do this." Discover your inner child and just do. Have a big enough dream that you are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve it. If your goal is not big enough, you breathe too easily. Find yourself in situations where you have to fight for your breath as much as you're fighting for your dream. They say that successful people are professional failures. Time and time again, you hear the stories of successful people overcoming difficulties that seem unconquerable. The reason they made it is they were not afraid to try. Even when the odds were against them, that didn't stop them. They have a win-win mentality. 100% win and growth rates. When you succeed, you are winning. When you are failing, when doing, you are learning. You need to have that mindset. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying continual failure will most certainly lead you to success. It comes from what you learn during the events and how you will adjust the next time. I'm still going on my growth journey, my success journey, and for not only myself but for us to succeed, we mustn't fear the failures that are to come. Action cures fear. Maximize from the failure, fear not trying. Wow, that was a great reminder. This part about children like not really caring, they just want to do it, and they go into that discovery mode because they're so curious about these things. When you get to a certain age, we forget about that because we're so focused on our responsibilities, the life ahead, which is great. It's always good to have that mindset. But one thing I learned when you reach a certain age, I think it was around 24 to 25, your prefrontal cortex becomes fully developed, and that's when we lose that sense of creativity. We lose those because it's that responsibility that has our focus, that rationalizing each action in each decision. That's what the prefrontal cortex does, and certain substances, certain things can help to sorry, lost for words, but it helps us to not use that part of our brain as much when you do certain things, which is good for us because when you're in a field of like a certain industry, like for myself, or being a creative, that's something I love to do. When I write, I'm always writing and always correcting it, and I'm like, I get nowhere because I'm always backspacing and editing things on the go, as opposed to just writing and then reviewing it later and then just taking bits and pieces out, because my brain is in that rationalizing phase. Whereas when I'm not sleeping, and like say if I don't sleep till like 3 a.m. and I just get on a computer and just write, that is one of the methods that can help reduce the brain from using your prefrontal cortex. But look, I'm not a scientist, so don't listen to me. This is what I've heard, this is what I've learned, and personally I've experienced it and I've noticed it. It helps, so it might help you, but it'd be good to research that stuff. But going with the topic of not trying, when I was writing in those times of 3 a.m., I'm not caring about what I've written. I'm just putting stuff on the page, and I end up writing so much more. And then the next day, I'll just review it, and I can just edit. Oh, that didn't make sense. What was I writing? But that's one method of doing it. And having like that win-win mentality, like, what can you learn from those certain points of not succeeding? Like with this book, Winning, it talks a lot about the mindset Kobe and Michael Jordan have, and they're just winning to them is everything, and it's so crazy just what they were able to achieve, because of that mindset. And they got a lot of flack for it. They got a lot of people hated them for it, but they showed the results. And I guess that's what that fear is too, is sometimes we might fear that if we try something, we might not get the results we expected. You know, like there's a period Kobe went 3-peat with Shaq, and then once Shaq left. And why am I talking about basketball? I don't really know the whole history of basketball. I'm just reading from the book Winning, but he goes to explain that there's a period where Kobe, when he was trying to get those other 2 rings, he was injured, and then Michael Jordan told him to contact Tim Grover, and he was able to help him. He didn't have that fear of failing. He wanted to get better regardless of all his injuries. You know, how many of us would stop there to try to achieve something? How many of us would stop from getting that next win because of our validated circumstances? He didn't have to get better. Like, people would have understood, yeah, like, his knees are gone, his Achilles is ruined, he doesn't need another ring, he's proven it enough, he's got 3 rings. Like, that's more than a lot of other basketball players out there. But he didn't stop there, because he wanted to win. He had this drive to prove something to others, to prove something to himself, that he could win rings without Shaq. You know, he took action. He figured out ways he could become better. He didn't fear that failure. But yeah, so even for me, there's those periods when certain circumstances in the world, we don't get the results that we want to, and sometimes we just want to give up. We start doubting ourselves. Like, we get that a lot. But what keeps us going is the fact that you guys show love towards us. You know, we're not a big brand. We're nothing like great or anything like that. It's just 2 guys, 2 brothers, just, you know, trying to go for our passion. That's what it is, and giving it our all. Yeah. No matter what the failures are, no matter what the bumps in the roads are, it's how we can adjust and pivot. How can we be better? What can we do to keep sending that message, to share goodness, to allow others, to encourage them, you know, to push them to pursue that dream that you want to do, pursue that thing that you've always wanted to do. Life's too short for us to sit around and wait for the perfect time. Life's too short for us to keep on saying, oh, I'm too old for it, or oh, it's not gonna work. You know, we never know when our time is up. That clock could end at any moment without us knowing. No matter how healthy you are, no matter what you've done, no one knows. All we could do is live our best life. And what's one way to live your best life is trying to do the things you love, right? What's the point of living life and being like, oh man, I wish I did this, I wish I did that? That life of regret. I don't want to live like that. I know I'm not at the peak of my life. I'm not living the best life. Like, I'm still working my day job, which is not even that great, but it's, at least I'm just grateful that at least I have a job to even fund what we're doing here with Okiru, you know. But that's the whole journey, right? That's the whole journey. And you'll make sacrifices for the things that you love, or the things you love will become the sacrifice. But anyway, I just wish you guys are enjoying these podcasts. I know we want to do more with more people. I enjoy, you know, just in my room reading through these blogs. It's a good reminder to myself to hopefully I can remind you guys or find value in it. Look, I'm not your mentor. I'm not your personal guide or anything like that. I'm just another man going through his own journey and just speaking about his own experiences, which I hope someone can find value in. hope you can find value in it. Wherever you are listening to this podcast, wish you guys well. Stay safe always, and always do good. That's all we can live. Like, just live your best life, man. Just be a good person. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for all the love and support. Thank you guys for always cheering us on. You know, we always get those love messages, which is amazing. That's what keeps us going all the time, when we read those messages from you guys. Also, thank you to all those who supported us, to everyone who supported us throughout the whole push-up challenge. Joe and I are going to be doing another challenge on the same day that challenge ends. So it's going to be a really tough... It's a tough month, but it's a good month for us to push ourselves, to really push our limits. So it'll be interesting. We're going to be doing the Run for the Herd from the 25th to the 27th of June. Our goal is to run half a marathon within those 3 days. As someone who doesn't run but goes for walks and jogs every now and then, this is going to be tough, but it's a push, and I'm willing to do that. So I hope you guys are willing to push yourselves too. But yeah, well, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is the end of the podcast. Thank you for your endless support. We love you all. Stay strong, stay steady, and always get up. This is the Okiru podcast. Peace out.